I know the McLaren range of street cars is quite confusing. They have special series, sports series and asparagus series and Lord knows what else. What you need to know is the baby car, the 570, on which the 600 LT that I'm in now is based, is quite different to the others in that it has a conventional suspension system. It has struts, springs, dampers, nothing cross-linked or hydraulic or clever. It's an analogue, quite simple car compared to the others. And do you know what? That does give it certain advantages because it feels more conventional. I've just got in this car and immediately I have a sense of connection in it that I don't have in the bigger cars. I love the 720, but it's a bit aloof. It's a bit like having a meal with a really clever mate and having to spend 10 minutes sort of working out where his brain's at before you can have a conversation. In the 600 LT, you just get in and have a natter. So what have we got? We've got about 30 more horsepower than a standard car, a stiffer, pokier chassis, some aero modifications, and some exhaust that exit a bit higher on the old arse. It's not fundamentally different, it's just a sort of reworking of the core 570 bits. First things first, driving position is just spot on. The seat itself, well, I'm sure you can play with the padding a bit. These are Senna-esque, very sparsely padded carbon buckets, and I've got too much right behind my shoulder blades, which is maybe down to me, I don't know. Seats are quite a personal thing, aren't they? This one, not perfect. Driving position, amazing. I love the way you can get the wheel right back onto your chest. I'm low, and in typical McLaren style, I've got this lovely low scuttle, which means I can see right down, almost like I can see onto the tops of the front wheels. It's not intimidating. Engine? Well, where are we at with the engine? These McLaren turbocharged V8s, I think they get away with being quite laggy. People don't seem to criticise them, but this is a really quite a laggy engine. If you jump out of a Porsche or a Ferrari turbocharged engine from 2018, they're more immediate. This thing builds and builds. That adds some excitement, but certainly mid-corner, it makes it much more difficult to use the motor to adjust the line. Brakes, superb, absolutely superb. But there's something about this car that is, I think, really special. It's a fun device. It wants to move around a bit. Ultimate grip, it's pretty high, but it's not crazy grippy. And when it does move into a bit of a slide, the progression is helpful. It's quite slow and easy. It's much more friendly than you'd expect of a mid-engine car. The steering is bang on. McLaren has a big advantage over Ferrari in the steering department now. This thing is wriggling around in my hands. Fantastic. It's like having an electric eel on speed, working between my fingertips. Did I just say that? I could get into private eye, couldn't it? But if I could define this car through one area of its performance, it would be that final moment of turning into a low or medium speed bend. Here we are now. I turn the wheel, and just as I release the brake, the front of the car scoots round. The understeer's gone. You've got this lovely Lotus-like independent feel across all four wheels. Remember, no locking differential. That's where it really helps. And the car just turns. It feels agile. I drove a Senna recently. It wouldn't do that. I think this is a more playful car than a Senna. And then for me, on a circuit, playfulness is everything. I'm not here chasing lap times. I'd take it over the big one. I just think it's really fun to drive. I mean, it's just beginning to spit with rain here, which doesn't fit with the exterior shots, I know. So you have to trust me, it is magnificent fun, this thing. What do you think of the way it looks? I think it's a bit fussy on the outside. I don't mind the tailpipes, they're okay, but the add-ons are a bit add-on-y, aren't they?
I'm not sure about this whole LT naming strategy. Long tail meant something with the original F1 because it was miles longer, but the 600 LT is, wait for it, 7.4 centimetres longer than a 570S. Call it nearly a Snickers bar. Immodest is the kindest way to describe it. The extra 30 horsepower comes from a new cam and a remap. Everything in the chassis is new and lighter. There are some 720 bits, the springs and dampers are firmer than the standard car, and the track is a little bit wider. Overall, the car is 96 kilograms lighter. It's a less comprehensive makeover than the 675 LT, but then the car on which it's based is miles better. Oh, and this baby track McLaren reminds us that Woking is in a different world to all other sports car makers in terms of raw acceleration. 0 to 62, 2.9 seconds, 0 to 124 in 8.2 seconds, and 204 miles an hour flat out.
Okay, it's not as fast as a GT2 RS, but I don't really care. It's still fast enough that if you stick a mate in the passenger seat, they'll probably need new undercrackers afterwards. And that's the measurement by which we should all judge these cars. It's perfectly fast enough. 600 horsepower, dampers in full hard, you're on your own. There's not much leeway here. Treat that throttle like a bloody hornet's nest. It's the boost. When the boost arrives, the thing just doesn't want to hang on, really. Oh yeah, you got to be careful through there. When you get the understeer on, don't try and chase it and get the armful of oversteer, because then you're too far gone. The wheel's in the wrong direction. Oh, it's a bit lively around here. Oh, you can always tell when you're thinking because you're not talking so much. I feel really connected to the car though, even though the conditions are terrible. I feel like I'm connected to the car and that gives me confidence. That's terrible. That's horrible. Yeah, okay. The really low-speed hairpins without the diff in the wet, no thanks. But the rest of it, the car just feels actually very good. Very, very good. Yeah, they've nailed it with this. Strange, isn't it? I'm more interested in this than I am the super-duper £1 million 800 horsepower things. I think this is the sweet spot for McLaren track cars. The McLaren 720S is like my comfort food of supercars. It is the car I come back to because I think it is the most complete supercar on sale possibly ever built. Now you might also know that I don't think that fondly about the Senna because the Senna's based on this car and to me it's just uglier and more useless. If you get out of one of these and think you want a faster car, you're a different man than me. This is so fast. This is the track pack. You get forged wheels, a titanium roll cage, a load of carbon, and some of the worst build quality I've ever seen on a car. I love this thing, but McLaren, you've got to start making them properly. Dynamically, it's fantastic. It changes direction like nothing else I've driven before. The engine is massively fast. It stops superbly. I mean, it is just the complete supercar, and I love the way it looks. So capable round here. It's running a Pirelli Corsa tyre which just is pretty old now, doesn't have that much traction. Come on! It's got active aero. I mean, it's pretty much flat in some of these parts here. You just keep the thing buried. Pulls your cheeks back. Oh, what a machine. Woo-hoo-hoo! Yes! I love it, I love it. It's the best car Woking makes. Why would you go and waste your money on a Senna? Have one of these. It's the bargain out there. The big long one, Nilo. Oh! And it feels light on its feet. It is the best car in its class. I love the steering, I love the brakes, I love the handling, I love the way that it can be supple on the road and firm on the track. This is the best car you can buy. It is just genius. It's dynamically so good. Light on its feet, it steers beautifully, it changes direction telepathically. You think about going somewhere and it goes. It stops brilliantly. It can be supple and comfortable on the road. It can be an animal and flat and stiff on a circuit. It is the complete package. I love driving it, and I love the way it looks, and I love the orange paint, and I love the titanium roll cage. Love everything about it. It's wonderful. Can you tell I like it?
With 720 horsepower and 568 foot-pounds of torque and weighing just 1,494 kilograms, this car is already ahead of the pack. It's taken Ferrari 2 years to catch up with the F8 Tributo, which we haven't driven yet, which doesn't have McLaren's carbon tub, nor its fiendishly clever cross-linked hydraulic suspension. The track pack takes very little away from the 720's on-road comfort. It's still more supple than most family cars, but adds quite a lot more support on the track. But the cost is, well, it's a bit silly given the changes aren't huge. $28,360 for the track pack alone. Add to that $1,100 for polished brake calipers with a logo, yes, really, and the other fancy carbon fitted to this test car that's actually all cosmetic, and it's £56,000 over list price, and the dynamic improvement is nothing like as impressive as the Manti kit on the GT2 RS. So my advice remains the same as always. Buy a nearly new, standard 720, save a packet, and enjoy a genius of a car for far less money.
The McLaren Senna is as ugly as it is fast, but how fast is it? Some people say it's as fast as a GT3 car. We just happen to have a GT3 car. Neil, where's my race suit?
Now, this really was just a day out and not a scientific exercise, and it was recorded last summer in August 2018, so apologies for the basic footage. I wanted to drive them back to back to see just how different the supposedly best track day machine was compared to a proper racing car. The Senna is spec sheet pornography, 800 horsepower, 1,300 kilograms active aerodynamics, 750,000 pounds and a carbon tub. Sub 10-second standing quarter mile and lap times to make a P1 look slow. The race car has just 550 horsepower, weighs a bit less than the Senna, but has the benefit of wider slick tyres and conventional race car aerodynamics. And it looks miles better covered in crap from the Spa 24 Hours.
I do love the way you can just see out through these windows down here. I thought they were an absolute gimmick when I saw the car being revealed, but they add to the sense of airiness. There's glass everywhere. So you have this lovely sense of light in the cabin, which I think is great. So the McLaren Senna. What a name, hey, Senna. It's probably the coolest name you can apply to a car that you could use on the street. So you have to be pretty sure that you're making something that's worthy of that name. 800 horsepower, under 1200 kilograms, so I'm told, so it's light. The numbers are staggering. I'm told it's P1 quick, I can believe it. And yet, it's road legal. It has road legal tyres, it has number plates, it has indicators. You could drive it to the south of France and back, if you so wish. What do you think about the way it looks? I think it looks like a dog's dinner, but then you probably didn't see the shorts I was wearing earlier. I've got no idea about aesthetics. I just think it could have been a bit more beautiful, but I'm told it's all about function, aerodynamics. Well, we're at Silverstone, so let's see what those aerodynamics are all about. First impressions, the engine, mighty. Absolutely mighty. The systems, very, very helpful. I mean, it's pulling big numbers down the straight. Jeepers creepers, brakes, superb for a road car. Again, that's the best I've felt in a road car. Superb pedal feel, massive reassurance. But already, I get this sense it's just held back by the tyre, that little 245 front tyre. I got understeer. Throttle right through cops. Again, just the front of the car's washing out. Means I have to wait to get on the throttle. I mean, compared to any other road car I've driven on a track, it's different gravy, I'll give you that. It's just better, it's faster, but I don't know, the expectation is so high, isn't it? You're thinking, come on. So we're in race mode. I'm not turning everything off because this car belongs to a mate of mine. I don't fancy the tyre bill. And also, you know, it has to be representative, doesn't it? This is the way people will drive these things. And we're doing a track day because I'm not spending all that money renting a circuit and all that rubbish. This is just about getting in them, doing a couple of laps and just confirming either way which is quicker. The aerodynamic grip through the quick stuff is mega. I mean, it's unlike any road car I've driven before. You can really lean on the car at high speed. Interestingly, it prefers to be using the torque of the engine. It seems to respond better. The more you use RPM, it seems to lift the front of the car a bit, which I hadn't expected. Systems are working hard. I mean, it's not a difficult car to drive, but it is. You're busy making little alterations and corrections, just nerdling it around a bit. Braking is absolutely superb, and the braking stability, the way that you can use steering angle and stop at the same time is, yeah, again, not like any road car I've driven. Let's see what it's like out of here. Traction's good, a little bit of a spool up there, into fourth gear, through a wood cut. I'm staying flat. It wants to run all the way out. What's it doing now? 1.5 something. I mean, that's beyond the race car at Blancpain. Now, yeah, I've got some understeer there. It was just a little bit understeery on the way out there. And the high-speed stuff here, yeah, look at that, just staying pinned in fifth, 125 miles an hour. There aren't many road cars that can do that. Yeah, so in many ways I think it's a triumph. But then there is this claim, isn't there? There is this, it's as quick as a GT3 car thing. I'm not sure it is. I think it's a fast car, but I'm surprised at how limited it is by its front axle grip. I didn't expect so much understeer. I really didn't. I thought it would be better than that in that respect. So, I don't know, maybe it just needs a different tyre or something, but it's only a 245 at the front, so it's lacking some size in that area. Yeah, it's mighty. It's absolutely mighty. But I just expected a bit more from the front axle. That sounds like the meanest thing anyone's ever said, but the rest of the car's so impressive. It's the one aspect that does, it's highlighted by the car's brilliance in other areas, really. Do you like the balaclava look? So I'm going to have a quick go in this car. This is not the race car I normally drive. It's a sister car because our car doesn't look so pretty after Spa. So go out, make sure the seat fits, and then we'll box some tyres on it, and then we'll go and do a lap time. It's simple today, no data, no nothing, lap time. I want to know whether McLaren's claim of the Senna being as fast as the GT3 car is true or not.
So then, if you want to find out whether the Senna is quicker than a GT3 car, you need to drive a GT3 car. It just so happens that I've been racing one of these all this year. This is the 650S GT3, carbon tub. It's the McLaren staple, but in racing form. So is the Senna really a racing car with number plates? Well, from the off, it just isn't. There's a directness to this vehicle. There's no rubber in the suspension, the steering, everything about the car is more direct than the Senna. It's flatter, it's more planted, its brakes are much stronger. I mean, the Senna's brakes for a road car are superb, but they're different gravy. It doesn't have the ultimate power of the Senna, but it comes out of corners so much quicker. And immediately through cops, I'm going 15 miles an hour faster. I've got no understeer relatively compared to the Senna. So, yeah, immediately it's the front axle of the cars that are so different. I can lean on this because of the slick tyre and just the width of the tyre in a way that I just can't in the street car. Whoa! I love racing this thing. It is such a fun car to drive. Yeah, it doesn't have the grunt of the Senna, but I can brake later everywhere, obviously, because I've just got more purchase on the track. I've got a wider front tyre and it's slick. Systems aren't as intrusive either. Whoa! Let's try it through the quick stuff. So 5th gear on entry, come down to 4th, throw it over the curb, and already now I'm flat out. That's full power. Through the left, it's absolutely flat. A little correction on the steering there as it moves a bit, but really, yeah, it doesn't have the crazy moving rear wing, but it generates a lot more downforce. The modern GT3 car really is quite a machine. It's so efficient through the air and through fast corners. And a good old-fashioned pneumatically actuated manual gearbox, effectively really fast. So I suppose it remains to be seen which one really is quicker. I mean, I know what my money's on, but there's only one way to find out. Yep, it's all about that front axle for me. Yes, I've got more traction because of the slick, but the front of the car is just there in a way that it isn't in the Senna. I like this car, I really do.
pretty unspecial time by me, but it was a one-lap challenge, and I'm old and I'm chubby. Next up, the Senna, which won't do many laps at a time because its fuel tank is so small. So the Senna is miles slower than a GT3 car, nearly 7 seconds adrift round Silverstone, and after the race car it just feels flabby and unconnected. And if that seems like an unfair comparison, well, it probably is. The Senna has aircon and it will do the shopping, but it's not remotely pleasant on the road, so most people will just track them. For the price of a Senna, you could buy a GT3 car and do 10 track days a year. Now I tell you what, I know what I'd rather drive.